about Shiva, because Shiva's, to me, I don't know why, personally cool. I think of Shiva. A couple of the other ones I don't feel that way about. The other two here, I don't feel that way about those guys. Now Shiva, of course, comes from Hindu belief systems, right? So this is a very old deity. I'm not sure how far Shiva goes back, but his role is in this trimutri, right? Which I would call like a triad, probably mutilating the word, in conjunction with Brahma and Vishnu. So it's Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. And he functions as the destroyer and the transformer. And I can't remember how that triad works. Like one is life or something like that. I'm going to mutilate, so I'm going to stay away from it. I'll have to look it up to get the actual terminology. But he's part of this triad or this completion. And again, this goes back to like how important, right, triads are. It's why I always work in triads, right? Or talk about threes, because it's kind of a a powerful number, right? And we know that. Okay, so now we see that we've got, his role, and he's part of a larger power structure of gods, and he is not an evil destroyer. That's the most important thing that we have to say about Shiva right off the bat. Shiva is not a destroyer because he's like dead, right? He's not that. He's not here to, cause undue suffering. He does not enjoy pain. He is just the dissolution within a cycle. And within this cosmic cycle, again, it's not a linear cycle. If we understand, we have to look at the Hindu cosmology. It's not a linear cycle. It breathes, right? They have creation, they have preservation, you have dissolution. We call it destruction because it sounds, sexy, the Shiva the Destroyer. Shiva the Destroyer sounds a whole lot better than Shiva the Dissolutionist, right? Although I'm not gonna lie, the Dissolutionist actually has a little bit of bite on it too. Like that. Now I'm gonna push back a little bit. Now I gotta push back against my own ideology. But I think overall they would have thought Shiva the Destroyer, that's been working. That's proven. Like I'm sure there was a marketing meeting down there, and they're like, Destroyer or Delusionist, and they're like, and they went with Destroyer, and it worked out. So we can't question the longevity of the name Destroyer. So within this cosmic cycle, he's a part of this principle, and it's framed in a way that is more cyclical. This is not a catastrophe. This is more of the natural processes of life, right? This has to happen. Without that, we cannot have renewal. And again, it's not chaos. It is literally just a reset button, right? It's a reset button. You probably reset your phone like 10 times already today if you're me, right? So this is about transformation comes through that destruction. And, he uses a dance, which is the interesting part. You always see Shiva kind of in this, like, right? Shiva's always right there with it, right? I don't have as many arms as Shiva has, but he's like, right? Or he's more serious with it than I am for obvious reasons, right? He's doing something real, and I'm just mocking him over here, and I hope he doesn't see this. But this is all about rhythm for him. This is an expression, I think a beautiful expression of how rhythm and vibration are baked into a lot of these, cultural belief systems, because that is what his dance ultimately means. It is a dance of destruction. It is truth that burns away all the illusions. That's what comes from the vibrations. We had talked about, we had talked about like Hathor's dance, right? Hathor's dance, it was also about vibration. So they're kind of channeling the same things. He's using it in a very specific way. Now, he also is known for having an ash-covered body. And this is because, I'm burning stuff down. Yeah. Hey, you got ash all over you. Yeah, that was me over there. Did you see all that, everything burning down? Did you see when that happened? That was me, which is why I'm covered with the ash. Oh, by the way, I burned everything down. Yes, I'm covered in ash, and just because I burned everything down. So that's how he is shown. And again, his main thing is that, of course, he's a part of these three forces that are creation, preservation, and destruction. That's what I was looking for before when I was saying Brahma. I think Brahma is creation, Shiva, Vishnu, Brahma. Yeah, Brahma is creation, Vishnu is preservation, and Shiva clearly is destruction. So that is the triad. That is the power structure of it all. Like, he lives where identity dissolves. And that's the most powerful thing about this specific deity. Now, what he represents in psychological terms, which is the other part, is that the way they wrote this belief system, or I don't know, maybe the way they reveal this belief system, I think that's the proper way, is that in psychology, he represents stages of your psychological being as well. And it's about transformation within. So I had mentioned that, man, these deities do not work. They work at every single level, from the microscopic to the macro, the cosmos, to inside your noodle. They're inside of your noodle as well. So you can't get away of any of it. And what Shiva represents is ego death. Sometimes the collapse of a false identity. This is, again, when people sometimes go through awakenings, like real powerful awakenings or change, someone who, goes through something very powerful in their life and now they're a completely different person, that required Shiva. That required the death of the ego, the collapse of the false identity, and letting old versions of yourself die, right? That is the path to new growth. So entropy is not strictly external, right? I know I'm fighting entropy by, wrapping my Mr. T comic book up, right? I'm fighting entropy as an exterior. They still have the collector's card inside. I don't know if you guys see that. I'm fighting external entropy, but I have to understand that I also possess internal entropy. So you're fighting entropy on all those levels. When your reputation is burned, when your belief system collapses, when your certainty in yourself dissolves. So this is kind of how we deal with entropy internally. And I think a healthy ideology is to understand that concept exists. And then Indian cosmology, it has a civilizational effect as well. And this is the real cultural meaning behind it, right? So when we look at all these various deities, we're going to see some slight differences in the scope of what they represent. That was Indian in cosmology, in the way that they accept it and they kind of ritualize it and how it's broken down. It is far more of an accepted system. It's a lot friendlier. I mean, honestly, if you see entropy in that regard, it's a lot friendlier. It's a lot easier to deal with, but it's there. It's not hiding that it's there.